2 years ago, I started an Etsy shop that has made me £160,000 or $200,000. And I've been thinking, if I could take all the things that have had the biggest positive impact on my shop that I've learned over the past 2 years and put them all into 20 tips for you guys, then wouldn't that just be so useful for you to know? Well, that's exactly what I've done. No BS, what I'm about to share with you in this video simply works. What's up guys, I'm Alfie. Let's start earning some money with our Etsy shops, and we're going to go straight into it with tip number 1, and this is going to be to improve your thumbnail images. Right, if a shopper doesn't click on your listing, then literally everything that you do after that doesn't matter at all. You have to get your thumbnail images right to stand out on the busy Etsy search pages. So to do this, I recommend to use either a blurred or high contrasting background if you're selling physical items. And if you're going to be selling digital or print on demand items, then I recommend to not use the standard mock-up images that come from your print on demand website. And instead, I think it's much better to invest a little bit of money on proven mock-up images from places like Etsy or other websites online that you know convert so much better. And always remember, no click, no sell. It's as simple as that. Your thumbnail images are just so important. Like, I cannot stress this enough. Get to fixing them. All right, moving on to the next tip now, and this is to offer free postage. Right, so the goal on Etsy is to get your product to stand out in front of as many shoppers as you possibly can. And you'll notice that there is a search option on Etsy for free postage, and I can absolutely guarantee that a lot of shoppers are using this. So if you're charging for your postage, then you're literally missing out on any potential customer that selects this tick box from the search options. And then also, if you're offering free postage, it gives your product just an extra pop on the search pages because you'll get that little green free postage sign which comes up by your product, which is just another way to get more eyes and get more clicks on your actual products. Okay, swiftly moving on, there's going to be a lot of information in this video, and the next tip is going to be to crush your SEO. All right, simply put, titles, tags, descriptions and attributes. Especially when you're a new shop, you have to be focusing on getting as many high quality keywords in those areas as you possibly can. So how do we do this? Well, you really need to be using a free research tool. And I mean, there's loads available online now, and they just give you such an advantage to find the highest search keywords that also have relatively low competition, just to give your products just the best chance to stand out and really hit the top of some of the Etsy searches. The SEO research program that I use is called Everbee. There's a link in the description if you want to sign up completely for free. So yeah, just go ahead and check them out if you wish. But whatever you do, use a research tool for your SEO, so important. After I started using research tools and really deep diving into my SEO and the keywords I'm using, my search traffic and my clicks on my products literally skyrocketed. It's so important, please don't neglect this. All right, moving on to the next tip now, and this is to make sure that your images are cropped correctly. Okay, so I don't know if you heard about it, but a few months ago, Etsy completely changed the cropping of all of the thumbnail images of how they're displayed on people's screens from a rectangle to a square. And of course, this now means that loads of sellers' images are just appearing completely incorrectly on people's screens, which in turn is massively damaging the click-through rate of all of those products. And another thing is that so many sellers, including myself, completely build our shops 100% on a laptop or on a desktop screen. So this means that a lot of the time, how our items are displayed on mobile is just completely neglected. So the same image that looks great on a desktop might be cropped terribly on mobile, cutting some key parts of your images out, which in turn is just gonna really hurt your click-through rates. So please, just continuously check how your images are appearing on both mobile and desktop people's screens. And if necessary, and your images are now being cropped way too much, then just edit them and add some additional white space around the edges of your images. And this should absolutely fix the issue. Yeah, moving on to the next tip now, and this is to have a super engaging About Us section to build trust. All right, so look, if a customer doesn't trust your shop, they will not buy from your shop. It's as simple as that. Any opportunity at all that you can have to build trust and rapport with your customers must be taken, especially if you're a newish shop with not that many reviews and not that much sales history. And of course, a great way to do this is through a really honest and engaging About Us section. So firstly, make sure that you have this populated because so many sellers just don't even populate it at the start. Use it to tell your story, show off your products, tell the customers what makes you so special, and just use it to give your customers a reason to trust you, show that you're a real shop, you're a real person, and I absolutely guarantee that you'll get a lot more conversions if customers start trusting your shop a lot more. All right, next tip now, and if you're a new shop, you have to win on either price or product. Right, so if you're a new shop with less reviews and less sales history than all of your competition, and you're trying to sell the exact same products in the same niche, then you have to give your customers a reason to buy your product over the competition's. So the options that we have to do this is either going to be through a lower price, typically, or through better product quality. I'd recommend to put a bit of time aside every week, because prices are always changing, to do proper product price research against your competition. And if you're a newer shop, then I recommend to try and position yourself just a few dollars under the competition. This is honestly all it takes, and you'll just give yourself a much better fighting chance right from the start. And then also, if you can, put time into making your product offering as good as it possibly can be. So I always say this: if you're selling a good quality product and you've got great offerings right from day one, just everything that you do after this point is just going to be so much easier for you. So yeah, people want good products, and Etsy wants to sell good products. But yeah, moving on to the next tip now, and this is to get a second opinion on your Etsy shop. All right, so as Albert Einstein once said, we cannot solve our problems with the same thinking we used when we created them. So we literally all have our own individual ways of thinking, and sadly this sometimes means that we can really easily be blindsided and completely miss areas that could be massively improved on our shop. This is why I keep stressing that it's so important to just get a second pair of eyes and a second opinion, to just look over your shop from top to bottom. And if you've watched any of my other Etsy videos before, you'll know that I absolutely love to review your shops. Like, it makes me so happy when I get the feedback from you guys of how much your shop's improved and how much your sales and revenue has increased after the reviews. Like, for me, honestly, that's literally what all of this YouTube journey is all about. Like, it's just so good to see all of us winning as a community, and I'm really trying to build something really cool here. So with that in mind, if you want me to be the second pair of eyes and take a look at your Etsy shop, then feel free to just drop me a message on Instagram and we can definitely discuss from there. It's something I love to do, and I'll knock up a whole PDF document reviewing everything from top to bottom on your shop, right from backdoor SEO to your listings, appearance, absolutely everything. And I mean, even if you don't want a formal review, just drop me a message and I'll happily answer any questions that you might have. But yeah, just getting a second pair of eyes on your shop, friends, family, whoever, really important. So moving swiftly on to the next tip now, and this is to get your listing numbers up. All right, so on Etsy, success is normally always measured against output rather than time. And what I mean by this is that you'll always see the best Etsy shops that make tons of sales. They've always got loads and loads of listings, normally 500, 1,000 plus. So this really is necessary on Etsy to get more traffic and more clicks to your shop, and of course, maximize your chance of getting a best-selling item to really start popping off. So a super cool hack that you can do on Etsy to get to more listings really quickly, I can't believe it's even still allowed on Etsy, but this is to do the copy listing hack. So essentially you can just go onto any of your listings on Etsy and you can just make a copy of it. I'd recommend to change the thumbnail image and change some of the keywords in the title, and then boom, suddenly you've got a whole new listing, and that's one more listing for your store. And of course you can do this with all of your listings. And it also gives you a great new opportunity to A/B test of what thumbnail images and what keywords are going to be working best for that item. I'd recommend to set a goal to get to ideally 100 listings plus, no matter what niche you're in, and then honestly you'll massively see a drastic improvement in your sales from there. All right, next tip now, this is a super easy one. Don't neglect your shop banner. All right, so your shop banner is literally the first thing that shoppers see when they get onto your Etsy store, and it's also the first opportunity that you have to give a good impression and just show that you have a professional, well-run Etsy business. So again, we're going back here with that trust relationship between you and the customer. And to get a really great banner design made up, if you struggle with design like me, then you can just head over to a program called Fiverr, and this is literally filled with freelancers, and you can get a banner made up on Etsy for a very reasonable price to a very good standard. And this advice also applies to your logo. All right, so with your logo, there's some key things here. Make sure it looks professional. I'd always advise, don't put any text in your logo that's going to be so small that it can't be read or interpreted on a mobile phone screen. And if you can, try and use colors that really stand out, or at a very minimum, match your branding and overall appearance of your Etsy shop. So a completely averagely designed logo for Etsy will be absolutely fine. You don't need anything special. For me, this one is really more about just avoiding spelling mistakes and just not having a logo that looks messy and unprofessional. So next tip now, and this is to get high quality photography and videography. Right, so on Etsy, photography sells, but videography sells even more. You could literally have the exact same product side by side, and if you have one with amazing photography and one with terrible super amateur photography, then we literally know that 100% of the time almost, customers are always going to choose the one with professional photography. It's something that everybody knows, but it's also something that I see neglected by so many people. So if you literally have any free time or finances to help run your Etsy shop, I recommend to spend a massive portion of this on improving your photography. And then whatever products you're selling, whether it be physical items, digital, or print on demand, I think on Etsy it really pays to add some videography to your listings. So not only does Etsy prefer this, and in turn your listings are going to be positioned that little bit higher, but it's also proven that videography massively helps with conversions of your item. But yeah, moving swiftly on to the next tip now, and this is to have your main keywords in the first 40 characters of your titles. Okay, so we all know that not all keywords are created equal, but more importantly, the positioning of your keywords really matters. Get your most valuable keywords in the first 40 characters of your Etsy title. So this is mainly because when the titles are displayed on different people's screens, after around 40, 50, sometimes 60 characters, depending on the device, the title you'll see will start going to ... So this means that if you put your main, most powerful descriptive keywords after this point, then the customers are literally never going to see them anyway, unless they've already clicked on your listing. So this is a really simple one, but just make sure that you do it. Every single little improvement matters so much. So yeah, moving on to the next tip now, and this is to get extra attention by putting our listings on false sales. Okay, shoppers love sales. It's literally built into our psychology, and there's just no getting around this. So a huge way to take advantage is to put your items on what I call a false sell. And what I mean by this is that if you was to normally sell your item for say $10, then I want you to up it to $11, okay? And then I want you to go into your sales section, run a sell at 10%. So what this is gonna do is it's gonna display your item as being on sale. You'll get the little green icon showing up on Etsy, but you're still gonna be selling your item for the exact same price that you were selling it before, without the sell. So this is just a great way to get more eyes and tap into that human psychology to get more sales with your product. All right, so next tip now, and I want you to consider using low budget ads. So look, I know that the talk of ads is scary to a lot of people, mostly because I've personally watched a lot of videos of other YouTubers saying that you need to be spending upwards of even $10 a day on ads to be successful, when just from my personal experience, that's simply not the case at all. So I've did a whole video previously talking about my whole ad budget strategy, and I honestly advise to not spend more than $2 a day, unless you can afford it of course, per product that you're advertising on Etsy. And the reason that I think Etsy ads is so great, because your budget is literally only used when somebody actually clicks on your ad. So it's kind of a great way to get actual guaranteed clicks, which in turn gives you more data that you can analyze and then use that to start improving from. So Etsy ads isn't scary at all, and to be honest, I don't actually think it's that necessary, but if you do want to give yourself an extra boost and an extra advantage starting out, and you want to get some results quicker, you don't want to wait, then yeah, I'd recommend to just experiment using some low budget Etsy ads. Yeah, moving on to the next tip now, and this is to get reviews and to get a lot of reviews. All right, so what's literally the first thing that we all do when we're buying something online? We look at the reviews. So Etsy is literally no different. You need reviews to build that trust with the customer. And remember, trust plus good product equals sales. And to get more reviews, you really need to be following up with every single customer at the start that you actually sell products to, and simply just ask them to leave a review, okay? The best way to get more reviews is to just ask to get more reviews. And then something that I personally do with my brand, because I sell physical items, I love to have a little company card that I insert in every single package, and I put on it a QR code that customers can simply just open up and scan, and it takes them directly to the Etsy reviews page. And I think personally this has helped me get just so many more reviews. Reviews matter. Focus on getting as many as you possibly can. So moving on to the next tip now, and this is to answer common customer questions in your listing. So if there's literally anything that the customer's uncertain at all about your product, then this could very easily be a reason for them to just not buy. Not everybody takes the time to just send the seller a message and ask the question. A lot of people will just quite happily click straight off the listing instead. So if you're selling something like digital items especially, you have to make it clear to the customer exactly how the download process works. And then if you're selling something like personalized or print on demand products that the customer has some input to, then you have to make it crystal clear to the customer in your product order notes exactly what they need to fill in to get the product that they wish to receive. And then of course, if you find that you're getting a lot of common questions from sellers, like in messages, honestly, just put the answers to the questions you're getting in your product listing, because I just guarantee that if people are asking you that question, there's plenty more other people that are thinking it, but they're not asking it. But yeah, moving on to the next tip now, and this is to provide exceptional product packaging. So I just want to quickly show you some of my most recent brand reviews here. Literally, you can see the packaging alone is enough to give a customer an amazing experience, and it's something that should never be overlooked. So if you're selling physical items where you actually need good packaging, then I recommend to spend a minimum of 10% of what you're selling the product for on the packaging of that product. So honestly, just from my own personal experience, as soon as I started putting a lot more time, money and effort into improving my packaging, just everything got so much better after that. So I got more reviews, customers were more satisfied, and my returning customer rate just absolutely skyrocketed. I mean, honestly, when you get super satisfied customers sometimes messaging you directly at how much they enjoyed your product, like sometimes that just gives you a really good feeling, and honestly, it can even be better than the money that you received from selling that product. And I personally work with a fulfillment center in England for all of my orders and all of my products, and I work with them to get very personalized bespoke packaging. But I mean, if you're just starting out, then you can very easily order some bulk cheap packaging to your house. There's plenty of online suppliers that can supply this for a very reasonable price. All right, moving on to the next tip now. Sadly, there's only a few more to go, but this is to regularly update your shop. All right, so Etsy loves shops that are just continuously improving and continuously adding new listings to their store. And then of course, also always replying to messages on time, getting orders out on time, providing an excellent customer service. These things are all gonna be really important to how Etsy sees and then positions your shop overall. So I'd always recommend to go the direction of adding one listing for 50 days in a row rather than listing 50 items on day one. And this is going to show to Etsy that you're a serious seller and you're improving your shop every single day. Because remember, Etsy's literal sole purpose is to sell as many products to customers as possible, and then importantly for those customers to be happy enough that they return and buy more products in the future. So with this in mind, Etsy are just always going to promote the best shops that are just super on top of things. They've got all of their stuff organized, and they're going to promote these shops, of course, ahead of other shops that are maybe less organized and are less focused on improving. So Etsy needs to trust your shop first before your shop gets the opportunity for customers to trust you. Remember this, okay? Because it's a good one. I'm moving on to the next tip now. This is going to save you so much headache. It's honestly unreal. And this is to judge your success against your output rather than your time. So the most common reason I see people quitting on Etsy is because they've been working on their shop for X amount of time. They put a lot of sacrifice into it and they've made hardly any sales. But then when you actually look at their shop, they might only have say 10, 20, 30 listings at a push, and then they're wondering why they're not making any sales at all. So you could literally be working on your shop for 2 years, for example, but if you only have say that top limit of like 30 listings, then the chances of you having a best-selling listing or one that really pops off and pulls customers to your shop is just going to be greatly decreased. So you'll just see that a lot of the top shops on Etsy that are making loads of sales a month, they all have maybe even up to like 1,000 listings and above on their shop. And then certainly most of the other shops that are at least earning enough to replace a salary, I'd say definitely they all have around about 100 or 100 plus listings. And just for me personally, a lot of the items I sell on my shop are more in that higher price bracket. But even for me, when I earn 20, 30k a month on Etsy, my best months, I had absolutely everything in stock, so everything was available and I had well over 100 listings. But yeah, just always remember to measure your success on Etsy against your actual output rather than just the time that you spend doing little daily tasks or the time that your shop has actually been open. Like, it'd just be so much better for you in the long run. And this moves perfectly on to the next tip now, and this is to just please enjoy the journey. So having your own business online is an incredible way to make money, but as we all know, it is not easy. You see all over social media, just everybody always posting their wins, like, oh, I made 10 grand in one day, but in reality, this is not the case for 99.9% of sellers. And I can just tell you from personal experience, I've had months of my Etsy shop where my income has literally not even came close to covering my living expenses. We are all absolutely so privileged to have the opportunity to learn online and get all of this free information on how to make money. And I mean, even just something as simple as having a laptop that we can open and actually make a business from, because this is not the case everywhere in the world, and we're so grateful, or we should be so grateful, that we even have the opportunity to do this. So yeah, just really remember to enjoy every step of the journey, and one day you will get there. And of course, if you found this video useful, then don't be afraid to subscribe. If you want to use some of the same SEO tools that I use, then I've left a link in the video description to Everbee. Of course, if you want your shop reviewed personally by me, find me a message on Instagram. And if you want to check out another super interesting video, then maybe give this one a little look. But yeah, thanks so much for watching, guys. I love all of you, and I'll see you on the next one.